Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. I'm excited to be a part of Alex Syberia Designs. Thank you for being my friend release. I have a couple of cards featuring a gorgeous new stamp set called Cindy Lou's Poppies. I'm also working with a fabulous new sentiment set that I'm really excited about, Expressing Gratitude Sentiments. And that is exactly where we're going to get started. This is such a fabulous stamp set. There's a wide variety of thank you sentiments that are stamped all at once. In fact, there are 17 of them. Black VersaFine ink is applied to the stamp. To get nice, even pressure across the whole area, I use a pressure tool. I didn't get a very good impression in the middle of the stamp, so I'm re-inking it. Thank goodness I'm using a stamping platform. This stamp set has a coordinating die, and so this is where the magic happens. The die is easily aligned to the sentiments, and I use a little bit of low-tack tape to hold it in place as it goes through the die cutter. And in a matter of minutes, there are 17 sentiments ready to go. I'm going to be stamping the images from Cindy Lou's Poppies on Bristol Smooth cardstock. Be coloring with water-based pens. Bristol Smooth can withstand a small amount of water without pilling. Unlike other cardstock, the color can be pulled out, creating a nice smooth gradient. To make things extra easy, everything is stamped with Versamark ink and embossed in white. All of the coloring will be completed with Arteza Real Brush pens. Right now I'm coloring a flower bud. This will be for the pink poppy, so I use one of the same pinks that was used in the flowers to do that little sliver of the flower that is showing through the bud. And the greenery is done in a nice fresh lime green. In coloring the stems and leaves for the red poppy, I'll be working with a blue-green that is called mint green. The embossed images really make for some very fast coloring. Because everything is embossed in white on white cardstock, I do work under a bright light so that I can see the shiny lines. For each flower petal, the color is applied at the base and along any of the creases. A water brush pen is then used to pull the color out to form a gradient. In between brush strokes, I tap off any extra color onto paper towel that the pen has picked up. If I was working on a flower that did not have the embossed lines, I would be moving on to a petal that was not adjacent to this wet petal. I would have to wait for them to completely dry before I could do the petals next to them. So the embossed lines not only form a little bit of a safety net for containing the color, but also you can just work right around the entire flower. This is not only an efficient use of time, but it is very relaxing. Continue in this manner until the flower has magically appeared. It is a repetitive and easy process. To avoid watering down the shadow area and maintaining that sharp contrast, the color is pulled out from the paint's edge. This poppy was colored with just one marker called red. For the pink poppy, I did use a couple of colors, amaranth pink and rosewood. After the poppies were dry, I did use a black gel pen to color in the top of each of the stamens. The coordinating dies were used to cut out all of the images. Low-tack tape was used to hold all of the dies in place so that they would not slip as they were being fed through the die cutter. And now to create a pretty backdrop for these poppies with a fun and easy technique. I selected 5 different acrylic stamping blocks of various sizes and rectangular shapes. The stampings will overlap one another and slightly favor the left-hand side of the panel where the poppy will sit. Continuing to work with Arteza pens, I apply the color to the block and then spritz it with water. The block is stamped onto the panel and it is held in place for several seconds. After each block is stamped, it is dried with the heat tool. This background is being created for the red poppy, and it has a variety of shades of green and blue-green. This is such a pretty technique for a background. I love the variation of texture that is created. Now for the last block. The variety of the sizes of the block and also the shape from squares to rectangles really adds to the overall interest of the composition. A stitched rectangle die was used to cut down both backgrounds so that they would measure 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. They were adhered to a slightly larger black cardstock panel and then onto an A2 sized card base. To assemble the poppy onto the card, I began by positioning the stem. It would be adhered with a thin strip foam. The flower's head is going to be adhered with small foam squares, and I'll put a touch of glue at the top of the stem. I'll go back to the foam strips to adhere the sentiment. And then finally, I have a couple of the larger leaves that I'm going to tack together with some glue and then use the foam squares to attach it to the base of the stem. Both cards are finished up with some beautiful half pearl embellishments. And that completes this pair of cards featuring Alex Syberia Designs, Cindy Lou's Poppies, and expressing gratitude sentiments. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I appreciate your visit.